I'm going to tie this old wet fly called the Purple Joe. I came across the recipe for this in my copy of Ray Patrick's Pacific Northwest Fly Patterns, where the description says it was used for cutthroat and that it works well in my home area of Puget Sound and the Hood Canal. Now, I don't know the origin of the name, but Jimi Hendrix immediately springs to mind because it's like a mixture of Hey Joe and Purple Haze, right? So Jimmy released both of those records in 1967, and this Ray Patrick book was published in 1970, so definitely a possibility. But then the same book has a very similar variant, the Purple Joe No. 2, where the feather wings are tied differently, and that change to the pattern was made in 1959, dealing a fatal blow to my Hendrix theory, so I still have no idea who Joe was, if he ever existed at all. I'm tying this on a size 8 Kona TS4 streamer hook. This is a black nickel hook, so it's safe to use in the salt or for the estuary, but you could use any streamer hook really. I'm choosing this down eye pattern just to keep the traditional appearance. So my thread is black in a 70 denier. I'll attach my thread behind the eye. Snip off the waste piece. Now, it isn't necessary to be particularly neat with the thread wraps because I'm going to be covering this whole front part of the hook with chenille, which covers a multitude of sins. And when I've got about 2/3 of the way back along the hook shank here, I'm going to stop. So my tail is made from this bright red hackle, and I'm just using inexpensive strung rooster saddle. I've torn off about 10 fibers, and I want them to extend about 1/3 of a hook length beyond the actual bend of the hook. And right now I'm just securing them with enough thread wraps to hold them in place. Next I'm going to take some hot orange floss. This is 2-ply Unifloss. I've cut a piece off and I'm going to slip that underneath my tying thread. Like so. And now I'll lock the floss into place with just a few more thread wraps. Now I'm going to use the floss to wrap over the tail fibers, keeping them on the top until I get to the hook bend. You've got to be very careful not to catch the floss on the point of the hook. Now I'm wrapping it back to the tie-in point. And when I get there, I'm going to just trap it with my thread. And then I'll just trim away the tag end. Now I'm going to tie down all of this material. And then a couple of eye widths behind the front of the hook. I'll trim away all the surplus. Now I'm going to return my thread quickly back just to the start of the floss. I've got some medium purple chenille, and I'm going to strip off about 1/4 of an inch of the fibres to expose the core for a tie down. And bind that very securely. That bit's not going to cooperate. Doesn't matter, cover it all up. And just quickly advance my thread back up to the front. And now I'm going to wrap the chenille around the shank. And I'm going to be sure to leave enough room at the front to add the wing and collar. So I'll tie that off. I'm binding down loose fibres at the front. I'll cut that away and save that piece for another fly. Okay, the wing is made from golden badger rooster neck. If you're new to fly tying, badger just refers to those dark stripes down the center of the feathers. I've picked out a couple of feathers that match really nicely, and I've lined them up so that the tips are together and that the shiny convex sides are now facing out. I'm going to measure them to about 1.5 hook lengths. And with my fingers I've measured that point, and I'm just stripping off all the fibers beyond that part. And in order for the feathers to lie flat, I'm going to have to take some more fibers off the bottom half of the feathers, the lower half, so that it lies down there. I'm holding the feathers in place, and I'm going to wrap my thread around the stems and pull tightly downwards. See how that looks? That actually looks okay, and it rarely happens that you get it right the first time, but I'm pleased with that. So I'll lock those wings into place with some more wraps, and then just cut away the stems. Now to finish up the fly, I'm going to add a collar made from another badger feather, and this is a bit larger with fibers that are about 1.5 times the hook gap. And I do want quite a bit of the black to show. I'm going to tie it in by the butt on my side. Snip that piece away. I'm going to hold the feather straight up, and with my fingers I'll fold all those fibers back. Now I'm going to take 4 turns. 2, 3, 4. And I'll tie off the feather tip. And then just remove it. Now I'm gathering all the fibers together and binding back on them just a little bit. Make a little thread head. Now I'll put in a whip finish. And now I'll take a little bit of fly finish. Just to seal the head. And I'll cure that. And that's the Purple Joe. I'm really looking forward to giving that a try. I hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck and take care.